Just picked a couple of rides up, three different rides. One lady, she was from India, but she'd been here most of her life. And she teaches, chess. She started her own business teaching chess. But school-wise, I had a similar background with her, education-wise. And then picked up some younger girl at a college. And we were talking about how her dad does. He's getting into intermittent fasting and all. Anyway, so it seemed like I had three rides, and the third ride picked up this lady at Walmart with kids, and we all three had every ride I had a conversation the whole time. These conversations were not just surface, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. These were detailed conversations. One lady's talking about her sister, how she's dealing with, the young girl's talking about her sister dealing with agoraphobia, and she's studying psychology. The other lady, we were talking about the Sanskrit, the languages, and her mom got a degree in her English and Sanskrit. But anyway, long story short, my point is this. If you wake up and you realize that you have better conversations on a 30-minute Uber ride or a 15-minute or 20-minute, if you have better conversations than you do with your spouse, there's a problem. I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this rideshare for about almost 7 years part-time. And I promise you, I've had some really good conversations. I've talked to people about the code, education, all kinds of stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking, why would I have put up with 30 minutes of being married to somebody who you couldn't even talk to? Why would I put up with something like that? Just because they lied, they got it. Look, a lot of times people just want to get married for security. They don't love you. They don't care about you. They can't even have a conversation with you. They can't even talk to you. And so when you talk to somebody that's got some depth, that's got some wisdom, that's got some insight, that has a well-rounded point of view, you got something. So if you can talk to your friends or even an Uber rider more than you can talk to your spouse, something's wrong. If you can't have communication, open communication with your spouse, something is wrong. Something wrong. And the reason I'm saying this is because I know how this thing works. It's a fractal. There's a lot of people, they just get married, but they never even talk to the person. Or they try to talk to the person, and the other person just put on a show until they got married, and then they wanted to do their own thing because of narcissism or whatever. I promise you, if you do some rideshare and you talk to some of these people and you go back home and you realize your spouse you can't even talk to, your whole world's going to change. You're going to wake up fast. What makes me think about it is that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case, that divorce. They've been going through all this $1 million lawsuits and all this stuff for so long now. It started in 2016. So it's 2016. That's 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. They were fighting. They weren't communicating. It was all about money or image or show or sex or drugs or something. Who knows what it was about? But I know one thing, they weren't communicating. If you do rideshare, if you do some Uber rideshare and you have full, healthy conversations on a rideshare, then and you go back home and you realize you don't have conversations, it's going to wake you up. And I don't know why Johnny Depp, in my mind, I think he had to. I mean, I might be biased here, but I think he should have known she was just marrying for money. He should have known that. And if you listen to one of the recordings, he was trying to communicate with her. He was trying to talk to her, but she wouldn't talk. She was just acting irrational and crazy. If you can't have communication with your spouse or somebody you're thinking about getting married to, you better not get married. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. If it's always drama and they don't have an ability to think logically, run. If they can't think logically, you better run. And I mean fast. This guy's starting to come over on my lane. You better run. If you can't see, the word communication goes back to communion. Together, union. C-O-M is together. M is water vessel. And union is oneness. So if you can't have communication with anybody, it doesn't matter if it's a parent, a child, a neighbor, a friend, a boss, a coworker, whatever. If you can't have open dialogue, communication back and forth, and they're either hogging the conversation or they're not listening, get away from them. Get away from them, because you're not on the same page. It's all about them. It's all about what they want. It's all about their agenda. I promise you, you can try the spirits by just communication. I promise you. If somebody's in a marriage and this person is a communicator, they talk to everybody, they talk to people, and they have a good time, and then they go home and they can't talk to their spouse, I would have to put money on it that spouse is probably a narcissist. I'd have to, and they're up to something. Because if you're communicating, you're going to catch somebody in their insanity. If you can't have a communication with somebody, and they get all mad and upset and drama and chaos, that's probably a narcissist. Because communication is what this whole thing's about, because it's all about communion with God, communion through Jesus. It's all about communion. And if somebody doesn't want to communicate, they don't know what communion means. They don't know what union means. They don't know what the agreement means. It's all about me, it's all about self. It's all about self. What's the lesson today? What am I teaching? I'm teaching that if you can't have communion with somebody, just don't yoke up with them in any way, shape, or form, business or anything. If you can't have a normal conversation, if you can have a better conversation on an Uber ride than you can at home or with a potential spouse or whatever, don't yoke up with that. Don't yoke up with it.